up, dedicated Dragon Ball denizens? I am Ryan, and we are here with another episode of the Hawks Dragon Ball Nest. Super excited today to get into what we've got. I'm finally showing off my Green Vegeta deck. If you've watched any of my other videos, you'll see how excited I've been to build this deck. I think it's such a cool concept. As a Vegeta lover, I'm glad that we've got another good deck for him. I know that the blue has been really up there in the meta for a while, and I think it'll stay there, but this one's a little bit of a different style, very much of a different style, to be quite honest. So I'm really excited to get into what that's going to look like. So I will go through this and I'll show what cards are going to be in the deck. I'll tell you the strategy and how to play the deck, some of its strengths and weaknesses included within that. And then we'll talk about a couple other cards to maybe consider. This one too, I'm still not 100% final on this list. There's been a lot of tinkering that I've done throughout the past few days because, to be honest, it is a really hard deck to get to work. It has a lot of issues, has a lot of potential strengths and a lot of kind of cool concepts, but it's a very difficult deck to get to work, and we'll see that as we get into action with it. So of course I'll talk about some other cards to consider that I may be swapping out throughout the time here. But of course, before we get into all of that, then I gotta let you all know, if you like what you're seeing here, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can join the Hawks Nest. We are a growing nest. We got plenty of room here, nice and cozy so far if you join from the beginning. But if you're not quite ready to fly yet, just go ahead and hit that like button. Hopefully we will show up into your algorithm still. But without further ado, let us jump into what the deck consists of. Alright, now if you look up in the top right hand corner, then you're going to see what that list is here, but let's go into it a little bit, talk about why I'm including each of these cards and what they do, and it'll kind of play off as we go into the strategy. Of course, we've got the Vegeta as the leader, so his basic before Awaken is no need to talk about, but really what makes this deck is his ability upon Awaken. So you want to awaken him obviously as quickly as possible. So you're going to place one of your energy into your drop. Then if you have 4 or less energy after that drop, you can play up to 1 Saiyan only battle card with a cost of 3 or less from your hand. So that means pretty much this whole deck, as much as possible, we're going to have 3 cost Saiyans. It has to be exactly 3 costs, no more, no less. Oh no, sorry, it can be less. It can potentially be less. Play that from your hand, right? So not bad. And then you can start with 5 when you use the ability. As long as you go down to 4, you're able to do that. Now upon initial look at that, you're like, oh man, so I've got to stay around like 4 or 5 energy every turn. Like that's gonna be a struggle. But you're going to see a few cards in here that make this work. And it's really the opposite of what we've seen from green so far, which is kind of interesting. You know, green has been the one color that we're going high energy. We want to get to 8, 9, 10. It's really the only cards that have anything higher than like a 6 cost for the drop, as we're seeing Cell and Broly with 8 cost drops. But this one does not have that because of this whole thing, but it does still kind of keep a lot of the concepts of putting things into your drop, energies into drops and things like that. But overall it's new, and we're not going to see too many cards from the old sets here. But first let's talk about the engine of this deck. If we have that, we're then like, oh man, we're going to have to drop an energy per turn. But we have the artificial full moon. So what this is if you have 4 or less energy, which is what we get to after using Vegeta's ability, and you place the card from your energy into its owner's drop, add 1 card with cost of 3 or less from your energy, or sorry, not 3 or less, 3 or more, it has to be 3 or more from drop to energy in rest mode at the end of every turn. So basically what this means is we're cycling through our energy, and there's some actual good positives to that. Considering the fact that we don't need to grow our energy, that means once we get to 5 energy, for the most part, we're able to just not charge for that turn. We stay at 5, unless we're going to play Grade 8 Vegeta, which we'll talk about later. But basically that means it's going to help you to kind of keep that hand higher, keep cards in there for combo, which we are going to need, because unfortunately, even though we are going to save cards from charging a lot of turns, a lot of these cards don't have very high combo, and that's one of the biggest weaknesses of this deck, probably the biggest weakness overall, is its combo power, and that's what I've been encountering online a lot and really struggling to find a solution to balance out, like getting the cards that we need to make this deck flow right with enough combo power to keep us alive, because we are also wanting to get down to 4 life as quickly as possible. So let's go over some of the other cards from kind of oldest cost to newest cost, right? So next we have our Son Goku. He's a Saiyan card, cool, 1 cost, and we're going to be able to draw a card on play. Pretty obvious there. This is one I've switched in and out. I've started off by having 4 of them. I'm down to 2 because we do have another 1 cost Searcher card. But I do find that a lot of times I am kind of sitting at 1 energy and not really having a lot to do. So I did throw him back in because he does give us some of the draw power, just at 2. It is one that's kind of on notice in terms of moving around if we want to swap some stuff in for him, but we don't have a lot of other 1 cost cards either. So I think he's a good one to go. Now next up, our next 3 cards are going to be Kid Gohan, but we have our Son Gohan Childhood, the 1-drop, which is going to look at the top 3 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 card with 5 or less in Saiyan in its trace, add it to your hand. And basically that's going to be almost our entire deck. All of these have Saiyan, including our Artificial Full Moon, including our other extra, which is a Warm Greeting. Really, the only cards you're not going to be able to grab are Great Ape Vegeta and King Vegeta because they're too high cost, and then our Piccolo Mini Daima. So, not bad. We're really going to be able to grab what we need, whether that's Moon. Personally, I prefer even grabbing this bad boy over here and trying not to play that Moon, so we'll talk about him when we get to him. But, you know, this is kind of what we need, so which is why I don't have 4 of those draw 1. Now, this one, I really love this card. I wish that I could have 4, but at the same time, this one is also up on my list of cut candidates due to it being a 0 combo. But it's a super good card to play early to help you ramp up your energy. As we see on play, place 1 card from your energy in your drop, and then add 1 card from the top deck to your energy. So we drop an energy upon play, but then we're just going to go ahead and add that energy right back. So it's going to help us ramp up. And the reason it does that is that if you already have your Moon out, then now you're going to be able to throw that energy that you put into your drop into your energy, back to your energy at the end of the turn. So we can potentially get ramped up pretty quickly with this card, and a lot of times be able to play another card. He's essentially a 1-cost card. You know, so you may be able to have 2 energy left and play another Gohan or something like that, or even a Goku. So this is a super good card to me. We do have to place 1 card from energy to drop. So later in the game, sometimes it could be a little bit more of a struggle because you're using Vegeta's move as the leader to put 1 in drop. You can only get 1 back, but it's pretty good. Its real issue though is its combo power being 0. Sometimes that's lost me games because I need 1 more freaking card to combo, and it's this one. So, but overall, it's a good card. So I'm leaving 2 of them in there now. I started off with 4. Now, next one, we've got a new card from the set, which is another Son Gohan. This one going with youth rather than childhood, so it might not work well for other sets. I know there's like a Chi-Chi Searcher with Son Gohan childhood. But anyway, so this one's a good one that's going to pair with Moon. If you have a field with full Moon in its name, this card gets 5,000 power, so it's really a 20k as long as you're able to keep that Moon in there, which you will. And upon play, we're going to add 1 card from your life to your hand. And the other great thing about this card is it's a 10k combo. So this is a super good card. You need to play 4 of these in here, if not for the combo power, for the Self-Awaken, and then it's an easy attacker later on. Because, as I mentioned, we want to stay at 5 energy. So what that means is a lot of times we're going to drop in a 3-cost Saiyan, and then we're going to have 2 energy left before dropping our next 3-cost Saiyan, or even after if we want, using Vegeta's ability. So a lot of times you're going to toss this bad boy out there even late game. Don't do the Self-Awaken as an extra attacker to help you swarm. So that's why he's so good. And also the Son Gohan Childhood does pretty much the same thing. Next up, pretty obvious one here, we've got the base Vegeta. Great card here, 3 cost, 10k combo, 25,000 hit. This is a really good card. One of your more flexible cards that, since he doesn't have an ability, if you need to throw him into your energy, you can. If you need to combo him, you can. Get him in your drop. All that good stuff, right? Now, this one I think is one of just the coolest cards of this set overall. I love it. I love this card overall, this Son Goku, which, as you're seeing here, he's got his Kaioken going. And they've really kind of paid homage to that here. I mean, number one, it's zero combo, so it's going to run out of power quickly. It doesn't have a lot of defense, kind of how Kaioken is, right? But notice what this is. If attacking a battle card with cost of 4 or more, this card gets 25,000 power for the battle. Then place 1 card from your energy into its owner's drop. So in order to get that, you've got to make a sacrifice and throw 1 card from your energy to its drop. However, then at the end of your turn, if energy is placed into its owner's drop by this card's skill, draw 1 card and then add this card to your energy in rest mode. So it's really just like Kaioken. We're going to go all in and then we're done for. So this is a card that you can throw out there. You can attack with the 25k, you know, if you really need, but really you want to a lot of times wait to even play this card till your opponent has a 4 cost or higher card, and then that's what's going to help you take that card out, because we do not have a lot of extra power to do that. We don't have 4 cost cards at all. There's 0 in this deck. And then we have 2 5 costs, which are these Gohans, but these aren't attackers either. So really our only thing to deal with those high cost cards, if it weren't for Goku, is going to be our grade 8 Vegeta. So this is really our way of kind of cheating with the low cost card to take out and help clear your opponent's board. Just also know that he gets recycled into your energy at the end of the turn, so he doesn't stay on the field. So you get pretty much 1 chance with him. And you don't really want to leave him out and leave him vulnerable, even just sitting on the board. You know, you don't want your opponent to choose him as one of the cards to take effect for, unless you really know that you can protect him with your Gohan. Right? So super cool. I like this. Now the next one too, Nappa, another really cool card that just kind of the effect works really well. Right? So 30,000, which is great for a 3 cost card, 0 combo. So now we've already got, and we're not too far in, although these are the last 0 combo cards, but we've got a lot of 0 combos. We've got 4, 8, 10 cards. So that's about, what, 20% of the deck is 0 combo there, and then up to now we've only had 8 that are combo. So that's going to be a struggle. But look at his move. So choose 1, add 1 card from your life to energy in rest mode. Early Self-Awaken, helping you ramp up, or if you have no Vegeta battle cards, this card can't attack for the turn. So what that means is later in the game, if you want him to attack immediately, you're going to have a Vegeta on the field. If you don't want him to wait a turn and you don't have a Vegeta on the field, you're going to have to add a card from your life to your energy in rest mode. So something to think about. And then you've got to be careful, because if you haven't used your Vegeta leader's ability yet and you're at 5 energy, you play him, you want to attack him this turn, then you get yourself to 6 energy, can't use it. So be a little bit careful, but not too hard to plan in advance for. But this is a real good card. This is going to be your attacker for the most part. Now we've got another Nappa here. This one, 3 cost, 25k attack, at least 500 combo, so still not great. But this one I think is necessary for the meta now, because we are seeing a lot more people play fields. I mean, if you're in a mirror match, you're going to see that. You've got Tournament of Power for red. You may start seeing more fields in black when we're getting the New Planet Truffle, things like that. Even Frieza got a field now. So we do want this, and this is good, right? If you place the card from your energy into your drop, you choose a field with 2 or less and place that into your opponent's drop. So you can get rid of their field with him, and he is a 25,000 attacker, so good one there. Now our only actual non-Saiyan of the whole deck, but this is another one I saw is just too good of a card not to put in here. It's another new card from the new set, and it is Piccolo Mini Daima. 20k, so not a great attacker, but not terrible. But really, this is kind of the key here, is the 10,000 combo that he has, and then its ability. So its ability is on play, you place an energy into drop, and then choose one of your opponent's battle cards with 3 or less and KO it. So this is just a good removal card. We don't have too many ways of removing our opponent's cards by ability, especially those that are just kind of out there sitting and using abilities turn by turn. You might need to do this. You want to try to play this one early, hopefully before you're awakened and you have moon out, so that you can recycle that energy that you put into drop, because later in the game you may not want to go with it, but it may not be the worst thing in the world if you have to do it too. So great one there. I find that this one gets me out of a pinch a lot. Then this is another one of the kind of what do you call it, like just necessary cards of the deck too. I'm a gambler, so I actually hate playing Moon just boom throwing it down for 2 energy. I prefer to throw out my Vegeta with this 3 cost, and then using its on play ability, discarding a card from my hand, looking at the top 10 of my deck, and placing an artificial moon to the arena. I've got 4 moons there. There's a good chance I'm gonna get that. I have failed it a few times, of course, but you know, there's a good chance of getting that. And a lot of times too, you know that you need a 3 cost or higher Saiyan. So even this ability of discarding one from your hand isn't the worst thing in the world. You may not have anything in drop yet that's a 3 cost, so that you can start recycling energy turn by turn. So very important, very important. Then we have our Raditz. This one's another good one. We're kind of getting cards back from drop, right? 25k, solid attacker, 500, meh. But I'm playing 4 of them because we're going to be able to grab cards back. As long as you place a card from your energy into your drop, you add 1 Saiyan only, non-Raditz, 3 or less from your drop to your hand. So you can recover these. What I do a lot of times, man, I'm getting this Goku back because we're going to put him into energy. I can use Vegeta's move to put him in drop as that energy. Now I can activate Raditz's move, I get him right back. Sometimes I may do that same thing to grab my Nappa back if I need a big attacker too. So just really good in that regard. And then this one, I think another necessary card for this deck. We're swarming. These are 3 cost cards, so pretty easy for your opponents to kind of take out one by one, or even use like big abilities to get rid of them. So this one protects them. All your cards with a cost of 3 can't be removed from the area. I mean, despite this card coming out like a couple sets ago, right? It seems like the perfect card for this deck because we're playing 3 costs. And then at the end of our turn, it also helps us deal with our opponents. Usually I'm going with this one. We have 2, play up to 1 battle card with 3 or less in your hand. So if you want to just keep the swarming up, you can do that, or choose one of your opponent's battle cards with 3 or less and KO it. I'm usually going with that. That way I can just boom, get rid of one of their battle cards, keep that field advantage in my favor. So good there. Alright, and then our Great Ape Vegeta. So this one, upon initial review, seems like, oh man, well I need to stay at 5 energy in order to use Vegeta's ability. So how am I going to use it? Now the good thing is, as I mentioned, we get to 5 energy, then we don't have to charge. But if you're ready, and you've got this Great Ape Vegeta in hand, you can charge for that turn to get to 6, and then on play, guess what? Place one of your energy into its owner's drop. Now we're right back down to 5, which is just what we need to get back into using Vegeta's ability. Now, and then from there, if your leader has Saiyan and special traits, choose one of your opponent's battle cards with 5 or less and KO it. So, not bad too. Honestly, like, for this deck and the support it needs, this card just fell a little bit short to me. It is a double strike, but what it really should have been was just choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and KO it. They shouldn't have gotten the limitation of 5. In my opinion, it just really messes it up because we still don't have an answer for a lot of these cards, like the 8-cost Broly's that are double striking even the Cell, and especially now the new secret rare Goku, which is a 6-cost 40k. So we're equaling. It's pretty easy for your opponent to defend that when you're going 40 on 40, unless you're really comboing hard against it. And then on their turn, the fact that they're lowering all of your cards by 20k. So it makes it tough, and it makes this deck's biggest weakness still is going to be reds. I mean, it's in my opinion that you have almost no chance against a red deck with this right now because of that secret rare Goku. You know, even the Gohan can't protect it, but you know, we'll still give it a shot. Then, of course, obviously, we've got King Vegeta's our combo. You can put whatever you want, but if you've bought the Broly starter, you may as well throw in some more Saiyans. This is actually good. I will say you should make sure that at the very least you throw a Saiyan in there, because, you know, we can get it. Wait, actually, no. I thought that in order to recycle, it has to be a Saiyan, but it just has to be 3 or more. So never mind. You can have any super combo you want. They did get that new Bulma for this one, so that one might be cool. Alright, and then the last one, another card to deal with our opponent's board, to deal with things like, at least with red, like the Jiren, that kind of hangs out there and doesn't let you knock him out. This one's a good one. So it's a draw for 2 energy. You're going to draw and then choose one of your opponent's cards of 4 or less and place it into its owner's energy and rest mode. Now again, this one falls just a little bit short. It should have been just combo, I mean just KO them, but I think with the draw power that may have been a little bit too OP. But the fact that it puts it into their energy and rest mode doesn't make this quite as appetizing for me, but it still works. I think it's still necessary because we need ways to clear that board. It gives us a 4 cost or less, so not bad there, and we get to draw a card, so draw power we really need. So I mean, that's pretty much the whole deck here. We get the idea. Let's go through some of the strategy strengths and weaknesses. In terms of strategy, it sounds straightforward, but it's not in many ways. Initially it is very straightforward. Drop Moon, however that it be, whether it's with your Vegeta 3 cost with the Moon ability there, or just straight up dropping it to be safe. Drop your Saiyans out there, you know, get your board prepped and just swarm. Use your Goku to deal with the big hitters, and you're really trying to keep your opponent's board as clear as possible to deal with life. And if you can, like, don't let them awaken, you know, like just leave as much as possible, even if that means leaving your like attackers without attacking. So be really strategic about that. When am I attacking and when aren't I? As soon as possible too, as soon as you hit that 5 energy, ideally you're going to drop that Gohan so that you're going to start protecting your cards. You know, things like final explosion and things like that can just be kind of devastating, that they take out 2, and then if they drop another card and can knock you out. And then, you know, your goal is really build up for an all-out assault. You know, at some point you're going to want to do some math and look at your opponent's hand. They may have a full board out there, but if their hand is at a certain point and you've got 6-7 attackers on the board, let's go in and let's not worry about that board, and let's just end this game before you run out of cards to combo and defend yourself, or they destroy too many of your attackers, right? And then the best way too is to close out with the Great Ape. A lot of times too, because you do have to play him first thing, you know, you're gonna, it takes away some of the element of surprise, but just remember that you can always play, once you get the Great Ape out there, it's not your final attacker, so use that final attacker as a surprise. You know, they may think you're boom, trying to get them down to 2 life to take those last ones with the Great Ape. So what I a lot of times do is do all of those attackers, and then they think, oh, I have just enough to defend. You know, I'm at 2 life. I have just enough to make sure I don't get killed by the double strike of the Great Ape. Boom, I'm gonna drop somebody else on him. with my Vegeta ability, attack with that one. Oh no, they defend that. Maybe they don't even defend it, and then you hit them with the grade 8 Vegeta, which can be a little bit tricky too, because maybe sometimes they'll allow that final attack before the ape, and then it gives them just what they need in order to defend. So can be a struggle, but you know, kind of plan ahead. And thinking about strengths and weaknesses of the deck, I mean, the new set overall as a strength just added some great 3-cost Saiyans. Like if this leader, and obviously they build sets around leaders, but I mean, just stating the obvious, if this leader would have been in our last set, this would have just been a terrible deck. So you got to give it to them in terms of like the support that was given and the real good kind of creativity and thought process to Bandai that went into thinking about this set and making it work. You know, we do have so many great 3-cost Saiyans that came out with that. Really, this trio of Goku, Nappa, and the Vegeta. Even this Nappa too, really good. And of course, we needed somebody to be able to get cards back. That's Raditz, and he can attack too, right? So that paired up with the Gohan, you know, makes for some pretty good fun. You know, another strength is you're often able to play 3 attackers per turn, and sometimes one of those attackers can be a 50k. You know, if you're going after the board. For example, we're going to be able to play a Goku, and then if we have 5 energy, we could throw down this bad boy, Son Gohan Youth, or even this one, and then boom, use Vegeta's ability, and we're throwing someone else at. I mean, sometimes I'm out there with 2 of those Gokus in one turn with that. So thinking about how you want to go with that. So you can drop out 3 attackers in a turn, or grade 8 Vegeta. I mean, shoot, if you want to really clear your opponent's board of its like top tier attackers, we may throw out that ape and then Goku. You know, all kinds of options, so we can really swarm and then use Raditz to get our cards back. And if your opponent's unable to deal with that swarm and the fast pace that you can go, like as soon as you're awakened, you turn on the heat. If you can beat them to the punch, then you're in a pretty good spot, especially if we're able to kind of ramp up early and get this Gohan out there with the moon as a combo, which can be tricky. Then we can really move quickly out there. But what about weaknesses? There are a lot of 0 combo and 500 combo cards, right? I mean, the Great Ape is one, as we see here. We've got Raditz. I mean, the majority of them, we don't have a ton of 10k combos in the deck. Really, we've got 8, we've got 9, 10, and interestingly enough, in a pinch, sure, you can use your Gohans, which you don't necessarily want to do, but usually once you drop one, you can maybe combo away that other. So we don't have a lot. We've got 12 10k combos. And even for 500 combos, not many either. 4, 6. Oh no, this guy's a 10k, so yeah, that's alright. But still, there's not a lot. There's not a lot in their attackers, so you're in a tough spot when it comes to that. There is still, I mean, the Goku is going to help you, but there's a real problem with dealing with like 5 cost and higher cards that have those like 35,000+ attack. Because the other problem with Goku is that he gets recycled, so we're going to be able to, yeah, probably eliminate one of your opponent's big dog attackers, but they may drop another one next turn. And then what are we going to do? Well, hopefully we've got another Goku out there, but a lot of times your advantage, real big advantages in the game, come down to your attacker taking out one of theirs, and then next turn they have to counter that. Your opponent doesn't have to come back and counter that Goku. It's almost like a null. You know, your Goku is nulling their card, but not necessarily. And a lot of times too, I mean, when it comes down to a 40k card, you know, yeah, your Goku's at 50, but you know, you might want to add on 10k, but it's not that hard to defend even from a 50k attacker, especially if your opponent knows that, okay, he's gonna go away next turn, so let's just kind of defend my big guy here, let him fight another day. It can be a struggle. You know, your Vegeta's going to help, but you know, it's not too crazy. It can be a problem. The deck is also really based around getting your moon out, so if you have some struggles and just have some really bad luck with either drawing that moon, or you know, you fail with your Vegeta, you know, energy management is an issue too, so you might kind of fail and then like, oh man, how am I gonna make this get my energy to the point of playing the cards I need to win. So that's a big thing, you know, if you do go up against a Nappa or something else that destroys field, which there are plenty of cards that can just straight up destroy your field as well, and then you'll be in trouble having to charge every turn and you know, losing valuable cards that you're gonna need for a combo and staying on the defensive. Sometimes too, this Nappa can be a problem, being your kind of most reliable attacker that can stay out there. Later in the game, if you don't have a Vegeta on your board, then it's going to be an issue because you're not going to want to add a card from your life to your energy. You're not going to want to do that. So really try to have a Vegeta out there. Something I do a lot of times is when I throw this one out there, he's not going to attack. So I try to at least keep one Vegeta per turn where I'm just not attacking to at least make him less vulnerable. I at least don't have to defend against him. It still can cause issues with, you know, other kind of, you know, snapping them away with extra cards or abilities, but it at least helps. And once you have Gohan out there, you're in a better spot. But I mean, those are your biggest things, the biggest weaknesses, which are large weaknesses. They're really big and they're really hard to overcome. But with some good strategy and good thought behind it, we can overcome that stuff. Finally, let's talk about some other cards to consider in this deck. This is one right here, the first one that I've been really seriously starting to consider, which is this 2-cost Nappa. And the reason is is the combo power, you know, point blank. 10k combo, he does 20,000, which is, you know, as much as some of your 3 costs are doing, like your Vegeta right here. It's not too much more than him, and it's the same as your other Gohans. I'm debating replacing this one with it. I'm seriously debating, and when I'm doing my demo, I may try a match or two where I do it with him. You know, that 10k combo is just really good. And, you know, the 20k is going to equal what he's doing here. It's going to equal this Gohan. Well, without the Self-Awaken, we don't need to get that. So it's something to think about, is replacing him there, right? What's another one here? So then we have a 3-cost Vegeta, also from that same, I think that Nappa comes from the Broly deck. So this one here is another, it really is just for another Vegeta, right? He only has 20k attack, but he is crit. But the reason I had him in there initially was just to kind of have more Vegeta out there to throw on the field for Nappa. So that was one that I was considering throwing in there. I actually did have, I ended up replacing him for 2 more Gokus finally. So one to think about if you want a 20k crit that at least has 500 power, you know, it is going to make your opponent want to defend against that for their life. So something to think about. Another one, scrolling in the wrong spot here, is this Trunks. This one's a super interesting card as well to me. You know, the fact that, remember, we're kind of lacking in terms of big cards that we need. So this Trunks future is one that really intrigues me, and probably one I should try out. Maybe even one to replace that Goku with. 500 combo, so at least he's got something, and 40k attack, 40,000. The problem with him is that you're placing 1 card from your energy into your drop. But again, not the worst thing in the world. It can make sure that we're activating our ability, you know, activating that ability of the moon early on if we're somehow not able to awaken. We can recycle. It gives us an attacker, so I would think about putting a few in. I mean, if you really want to try it, it could be one to like maybe eliminate like 1 Nappa, 1 Raditz for, or something like that. It's one I'd like to try out. So tell me what you think about this one in the comments. Now here's another one. This was an initial card I used to play in here in its early iteration. I say used to as if it's been out a while. I'm like 2 weeks in here, but you can see how much I've tinkered. But this one is such a cool concept. Play up to 2 Saiyan only battle cards with a cost of 3 or less from your energy. So that's just like kind of wild. It does take 5, so it's pretty much going to take all of your energy for that turn, and then you're down to 3 energy. So that's kind of the problem with it, is like we're going from 5 to 3 energy, and then if you want to play another card, you're gonna have to boom, go down to 2, which will go back to 3. So that's why I took it out. I didn't think it worked, especially if you've got the grade 8 Vegeta. You want to stay at 5 and not have to build back up. But kind of crazy to think that you can play potentially up to 3 cost Saiyans that turn if you're using that, bringing 3 out and then 1. So it's an interesting one, but I think a warm greeting is much better, and you don't want to get down to it, right? And then from there, another one to think about, even over a warm greeting, is the Big Bang attack. Now, we're pretty much never going to get to use its permanent ability of reducing its cost by 1. So we want to think of it as a 2 cost card. Place 1 of your energy in your drop, and then you choose one of your opponent's battle cards with a cost of 5 or less and KO it. Now the thing with that one is we don't have to worry about them getting one of their you don't have to get the card you KO to their energy, and it's 5 or less. So I am, so in essence, it's the same cost as a warm greeting. You lose the draw power and you lose an energy, but you do get a 5 cost KO. So this one is one where I'm like really, another one where I'm on the fence. Like, is this better than a warm greeting? Because we don't let them charge an energy. We do, of course, lose ours, but I don't think it's a huge deal if we can get that 5 cost card gone. Even if we're awakened, we can just add that energy back next turn. So, there's that. Now, here's another one, last one to think about. Another one that we're going to drop an energy for, which is the instant Kamehameha. This one's probably one you might use early. And it could potentially get you out of a pinch, but you place an energy and drop and choose your leader or up to one of your battle cards. It gets 15k for the battle. So it's one that's interesting. It may work better early in the game, but at the same time, like, when do you want to use it early in the game? Just because we have our moon out, we're not awakened, we can recycle. But it could maybe save you and kind of make up for the fact that you don't have too many combos. I mean, it's in essence a 15k combo, but I don't know. I don't think it's great, but it's something to think about. So kind of let me know what you think and all of that. What do we like? What do we not like? What are some other cards I could consider? Like, I've done a pretty big look in some of these. I haven't seen too much that I am liking. Also, considering the fact that we really can't do much with 5 or more. Here's one to think about. We've got a nice 30k 5 cost, and we can KO one of their battle cards of 4 or less. Something to think about putting in there, I think. Maybe we would do that over getting rid of some of these. It's got 10k combo on it, which is another good thing. But that would be your card for the turn. So solid one there. I mean, maybe one to think about over a warm greeting, but maybe not. Some people have showed me this one. A lot of people play with this one. I just don't see it. I don't see it fitting this deck. You add a card of 3 or more from your drop to your energy in rest mode. Okay, we probably don't really need that. We need more attackers. 20k is not going to cut it. But we kind of do get to discard a card from your hand and KO a 2 or less battle card. But another thing we don't want to do is discard too much. So I don't like this one myself. I don't think it works too well. But that's most of what I would think about. I mean, if we had more Earthlings, I would like this Raditz, but we don't. What are we thinking, everyone? Is this a deck that can work, or does it need more supporters? I think that we're still a few supporter cards away from really like making this deck like super competitive. But if you don't mind not being meta or not winning every match, I have so much fun playing online with this deck. Even when I lose, it often comes down to like 1 or 2 cards. Like, it often comes down to me just needing 1 more card in hand to defend, and then I can make it, which is why I'm really like trying to think about like what 10k cards do I need. Maybe one of these Raditz takes a hit or something like that, so that I can get some more combo cards. But we'll think about it and consider how to move forward on that. You know, maybe it's even a warm greeting like that Gohan I just thought of during the recording of the 5 cost. But you know, next up, stay tuned for the next video, because we're going to take this deck online and we are going to take it and test it out and see how things go, see if we can win some battles with it or not. But until then, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can join the Hawk's Nest. We've got plenty of room here, as I always say. If you're not ready to fly yet, just hit that like button, leave a comment, share this with your friends. You know, let's grow this Dragon Ball Fusion World community. I want to see it grow. This game is so fun. It's underrated in the trading card community, you know, so really spread this out. Let's get some people playing. Let's get some locals going, even online tournaments and things like that. But until then, I will see you all next time.